Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share with you a little strategy called debt recycling. Now, you may have heard of this one before, it's been around for a while, but it's a way to turn non-deductible debt into tax-deductible debt. If that sounds like something that you might be interested in, then stick around for this video, because in this video I'm going to show you exactly how debt recycling works, talk about who it's most suited for, and as always cover off the pros and the cons. So let's jump in. Hello guys, Brad here from The Guide to the Investor. Welcome back to the channel where I help you do more with your money. Today we're talking about debt recycling, and it's called debt recycling because basically this strategy will turn non-deductible debt into tax-deductible debt. Before we jump into this video, I just want to point out that debt recycling is not for the faint-hearted and not for the inexperienced. It's a strategy that involves debt, and anytime you use debt for investing, you're gonna either magnify your loss or magnify your gain. So just because I'm doing a video explaining how it works does not mean that I'm recommending it's suitable for you. You need to do a lot more research than this and work out if it's actually appropriate for your situation. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump in. Firstly, you need to have a house with some equity in it. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that you need to have a house with less than 80% owing on it. To calculate this, simply take the value of your home loan, divide it by the value of your house, and if the number is less than 0.8, then you are good to go. This strategy won't work if you owe more than 80% on your house simply because you fall into lender's mortgage insurance territory, which basically means that there's going to be extra costs to implement this strategy, and those extra costs normally mean that the strategy is not worthwhile. Next, what you want to do is borrow against your house to invest. Now, the amount you borrow is going to depend on the amount of equity you have in your house, what your cash flow is like, how much risk you want to take. So again, this is a very individual thing to your personal situation. I can't tell you how much you should be borrowing. Now, with the borrowed funds, you can really invest in anything, but for this strategy, it's best to invest in an asset which is going to produce an income. When I'm implementing this strategy for my clients, I normally look to invest in a diversified portfolio of LICs, ETFs, LITs, and M funds. These have very low upkeep costs, and if you pick the right ones, can produce a pretty healthy income. Now that we're all set up, let the recycling begin. As time goes on, the investment that you've made is going to produce income. And as it does, you're going to take that income and you're going to use it to make extra payments on your non-deductible debts. As your non-deductible debt starts to fall, you're going to build more equity in your house, and that's going to allow you to borrow more money to invest. This is going to produce yet again more income which you can use to pay down non-deductible debt, and the cycle continues. Eventually, you should end up with only an investment loan against your house, and then you can start directing all of the income that you receive and the spare cash flow towards paying down that investment loan. Eventually, what you're going to be left with is a big fat portfolio of assets producing an income and a house that's unencumbered. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, it is a very good strategy, but like most things, it doesn't come without risks. So now it's time to look at the pros and the cons of this strategy. Pro, you will turn non-deductible debt into deductible debt, which will save you tax. Pro, you're gonna have extra exposure to growth assets. Now, if that asset that you invest in produces a better return after fees and taxes than the interest rate on your mortgage, then you're gonna accelerate your wealth creation. Pro, once all debts have been paid off, you're gonna be left with a passive income source. Con, all investments come with risk. If you choose the wrong investment and the value of that investment drops to nothing, you're gonna be left with a big fat loan and nothing to show for it. Con, having additional borrowings against your house is going to mean that you have additional loan repayments that you need to meet. And if you can't meet those loan obligations, then you're putting your house at risk. Whenever I run this strategy for my clients, I always stress test it first. So what I do is I look at their cash flow, I work out, can they still afford to keep this strategy going if interest rates were to increase by 2% and also living expenses were to increase by 20%. Now, what you don't want to do is get yourself into a situation where you become a distressed seller. Which brings me on to my next con, and that is if interest rates rise, then the cost to implement this strategy is going to increase. Con, there may be fees and costs associated with establishing a new loan. So after looking at the pros and the cons, the next logical question is to ask, who is this strategy suitable for? Firstly, you want to be an accumulator. That is, you want to be a good 10 plus years out for retirement, and you want to be in a position where you can continue running this strategy for at least 7 years. Secondly, you want to be a person that's going to have a good tolerance for risk. Like I said before, anytime you use borrowings to invest, it's going to magnify your loss or magnify your gain. And thirdly, you want to have some understanding of investments, as you want to have confidence in what you're investing in. You need to be able to ride the ups and the downs of the market. If you're not comfortable with this, then you can always seek professional advice. Okay guys, that's it from me. Remember to like this video if you've learned something new, subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and I will see you in the next one.